Hello and welcome to another episode of A Fresh Perspective here on Heavenward Thinking. Today we're continuing on in Luke chapter 21. We're going to look at verses 20 through 28. So I'll read it. We'll get right into this week's discussion. When you see Jerusalem being surrounded by armies, you will know that its desolation is near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let those in the city get out. And let those in the country not enter the city. For this is the time of punishment and fulfillment of all that has been written. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. There will be great distress in the land and wrath against this people. They will fall by the sword and will be taken as prisoners to all the nations. Jerusalem will be trampled on by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world, for the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Reading this passage, what can we see and apply with a fresh perspective?
That when we get to a place where we are fearful because of the things that are happening around us spiritually in nature, that we should take heart because redemption is nigh, is near, right? So again, there's a difference between being spiritually fearful of what God is doing and fearful of what man is doing. God is very clear. Just be bold, just be courageous, do not fear man, right? But when we are to have a healthy fear of God, and so when we start seeing all of this stuff, and again, the context is all of 21, right? Not little sections like we have. Jesus didn't say, let me take a break. and he just kept speaking. And he's putting it all together. When you see all of this stuff, right, then right, the fear is of what God is going to do, what God is doing. But then we stop in that moment and go, but that means that Jesus is getting closer to being here. So the fresh perspective is not fearing what's happening, but being excited about the fact that Jesus is coming back soon.
Absolutely, and I think that's definitely the point Jesus is making here, is that he's giving all of this teaching on what's going to happen, giving us a heads up, telling his disciples and telling us to be alert, to be aware of what's going to happen, to look for signs and to understand the signs. But he's not telling them this to have them live in fear. We saw that last week where we talked about it. He has them on mission. He has them trying to actually stand firm despite all the things that are going to go on, all the hostility that's going to go towards them. He's trying to tell them to stand firm, but also he's telling them here in this section as well that he wants them to take heart, like you said, to lift up their heads because your redemption is drawing near. He gives this hope at the end of the section here that he is going to be coming back in a cloud with power and great glory. And so it ends with this hope in this part of it. It's going to continue on next week as well, but this section ends with this hope of Jesus coming back. Like you said, a lot of people are afraid, though, when they hear these things. How do we shift that perspective away from the fear and anxiety that comes when we look at passages like this, when we think of the end times and all the unknowns and all the scary things? How do we shift that from just fear to actually looking forward to it because we know that our hope, our true hope, is drawing near?
Well, I think Jesus says it here, right? Stand up and lift your head up, right? So again, God is constantly asking us to be bold and courageous, right? Only be bold and courageous. Paul says it in the form of stand firm. Stand firm then. Stand firm. He says it all over, right? The concept is the tree, right? Idea planted by the... It's not that we don't sway. It's not that we don't bend. It's stand firm. It's like, don't break, right? Which means you're going to be overwhelmed by wave after wave after wave of fear. If you look at Revelation and you don't think you're going to fear, then you probably are mistaken, right? The scary part is that there's going to be people, according to Revelation, that fear what God is doing. They know it's God doing it, and that's not going to turn them, right? So the difference is we stand firm knowing that God says things like, I'm going to give you words when you have to stand in front of people. I'm going to protect you. You don't have to worry about this whole thing. Again, the biggest concept for us as Christians to recognize is God's perspective is so different than ours.
Mm-hmm.
God is not looking at you saying, hey, staying on this earth is the number one priority that I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
His whole thing is, I want you to be where I am. So he does not view death the same way that we do.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't view life the same that we do everything that we can to stay on this planet, right? And God's like, you should want to be where I am. So a fresh perspective is that question: do you want to be where Jesus is? Is that where you want to be? And are you living a life that is like Paul? For me to die, it's gain, right? Like I want to be where Jesus is.
Amen. I think it's so easy when our focus is on the things of this world, when we don't lift up our heads, when our heads are down, it's so easy for us to get entangled in all the things of the world, and like you said, to try to prolong our life on this planet as long as possible. We get so distracted that we take our eyes off of Jesus and we start seeing all this chaos, all these end times signs going on, and we are fearful because we think it's going to bring an end to all the things that we love in this world, and that we're not going to get to enjoy certain things, and that all this bad stuff's going to happen, but that's because we're not lifting our heads up and focusing on Jesus. I think that command that he gives here to lift up our heads is to look at that hope and to remind us that our perspective shouldn't be on this world. It shouldn't be in anything that can happen in this world. It should be on him and on the future of heaven. That if that is our perspective, then we're going to eagerly await for a redemption that's drawing near. If that's our perspective, we're going to be able to stand firm despite all the chaos and all the hardships that's going to come against us. If that's a perspective, it's going to change not only our outlook but our actions. It's going to change the words we say to people. It's going to change everything for us. I think that's what he's trying to get across here.
That's the simplicity of it.
Well, we hope that you've been encouraged and challenged by this passage, and that you'll join us next time for another episode of A Fresh Perspective here on Heavenward Thinking.